I was going over my Tumblr dashboard today, and I got inspired to maybe retalk because I kind of expanded it that in, in my Fab 5 Sensational 6 video. I talked about why I liked Daisy Duck, so I thought I'd expand upon this a little more here. When the early days of Disney animation had her, she was mostly a female Donald, or she was mostly there to comfort him. She was mostly an object to be won over. This was the trend for most female characters at the time. As a result, she did not have a defined personality outside of being Donald's girlfriend, which is disappointing, of course. But then came one cartoon, one of my personal favorite Duck cartoons. It's called Donald's Dilemma. Now, right off the bat, it's kind of annoying because the cartoon is actually seen and narrated from Daisy's point of view, but it's called Donald's Dilemma. But for those who haven't seen it, in this cartoon, Donald gets hit on the head with a flower pot, and as a result, he gets this magnificent voice. Don't ask me how that works. Anyway, this voice enchants people. It makes him a star. But it also changes his personality for the worse. He tosses Daisy aside, he becomes very selfish, and he's just not the Donald we know. Granted, the Donald we know is kind of selfish, but not to this degree. And the story is narrated by Daisy, who no longer sounds like him, thank God. And she is consulting someone about this problem. And we see the profound effect that Donald's absence has in her life. To me, it's at first very touching, because I've seen Daisy being accused of being loveless and selfish towards him. But in the cartoon, it's taken to such a dark level. She's actually, in the unedited cartoon, she contemplates suicide because she doesn't have him. But the one thing that amazed me in this cartoon, and I find hilarious, and I think still remains a huge part of her character. There's a part near the end where the psychiatrist or therapist, or whatever you want to call him, he tells Daisy that Donald's singing has brought happiness to so many people. So if she wants to fix him, there's a choice. Either happiness for everyone in the world, or only happiness for her. And Daisy goes absolutely, I don't want to use a derogative term, so I'll just say, she bangs on the table, she grows fangs, she says, me, 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 me. And, like it or not, that's her defining point. She's narcissistic. And I think that's kind of hilarious. I think it's okay for characters to be narcissistic. I think it's actually a very good and very funny point. This is someone who will go to any lengths for their own happiness. Which is kind of, I don't want to say something we should aspire to, but it's something to think about. And Daisy ultimately manages to convince the war-frightened guy to give her an idea, which is to drop another flower pot on Donald's head, and it turns him back to normal, and he's back in love with Daisy, and everything is hunky-dory. And we're just supposed to forget the dark Daisy we've seen moments before. There were many Daisy and Donald cartoons after which once again made her, kind of just there for Donald to win. But every so often you could see bits of her selfishness. You could see bits of her narcissism. And I'd like to think that Donald's Dilemma had a huge effect on her personality since then. I think it's a major part of her character, and it's one of my big favorite cartoons because it helped give her a character when early female characters didn't have much of them. These days, when you see Daisy, you don't see much of that narcissism, but it's still there. You just have to find it. I would hope that future animators and other and shorts that she will be in the future stick with this bit of narcissism, this bit of selfishness, this bit of obsession maybe she has with Donald. I really recommend that people look this cartoon up. In a funny way, it's actually a great case for being a yandere, if are familiar with that term, because she will really go to any lengths, even if it means harming Donald, just to get him back. And to have such a twisted, dark character be one of the many faces of the pure and innocent Disney is hilarious to me, and is wonderful to me. Because no one's perfect. We all have our dark sides. Daisy was just a bit more open about it. And I hope that if people watch this cartoon, they will agree with me that she's not such a terrible person, because she's much more of an interesting one. Which reminds me that now, I have a little Donald plush, but he really needs a Daisy to go with him, because, let's face it, despite what certain comics may say, and despite what certain people may say, Donald and Daisy definitely do belong together. If at least to make sure the world is safe.